Friendship begins with sincerity, a bond built on trust and shared moments. But over time, if selfishness, suspicion, and calculation creep in, that bond can fracture. A small misunderstanding can spark resentment. A simmering jealousy can lead to irreversible choices. When negative emotions take hold, people lose sight of boundaries, of where to stop. By the time they realize their mistake, it's often too late. Those who feel wronged may seek justice. But can justice born of hatred ever be true? A reckless act, a moment of impulsivity, a failure to restrain emotions, these can transform someone into a criminal. If only trust had prevailed, if forgiveness had replaced grudges, if a different path had been chosen, the outcome might not have been so tragic. But life offers no what-ifs. In the end, all that remains is regret and a heavy price for misguided decisions. Welcome to Behind the Crime, where we unravel the chilling truths behind humanity's darkest moments. Today we dive into a heart-wrenching case set in Shenzhen, Guangdong, China, on August 23, 2010, where a young woman's life was cut short by betrayal and desperation, exposing the fragility of human relationships and the devastating cost of unresolved grudges. It was a humid afternoon in Shenzhen, the city's skyline a mosaic of gleaming towers and bustling streets, when Richard Tran returned home from a business trip. Clutching a set of keys, he approached the gate of his newly purchased house, a modest but modern residence in a quiet neighborhood. As he reached for the lock, a chill ran through him. The gate was ajar, not secured, its hinges creaking faintly in the breeze. A sense of unease gripped him, his instincts whispering of something amiss. Pushing the gate open, he stepped into the courtyard, finding it eerily still, untouched by any signs of disturbance. The neatly trimmed shrubs and swept pathway offered no clues, but his anxiety deepened as he approached the front door. It, too, was unlocked, slightly agape, a silent warning. His heart pounded as he pushed it open and rushed inside, calling out for his wife, Diana Hu. The living room was pristine, its furniture untouched, a half-drunk cup of tea sitting on the coffee table, its surface catching the late afternoon light. But as Richard stepped into the kitchen, the scene before him shattered his world. Diana lay motionless on the tiled floor, her head resting in a pool of blood, a deep wound marring her skull. Her face was ghostly pale, her body cold, devoid of life. Shock rooted him to the spot, his knees buckling as he sank beside her, desperately shaking her shoulders, willing her to wake. His cries went unanswered. Trembling, he stumbled to his feet, his hands fumbling for his phone as he dialed the police, his voice choked with grief and horror. As he waited for help, he stood frozen, unable to touch the scene, his eyes locked on his beloved wife, the pain of her loss swelling in his chest. Within 20 minutes, the Shenzhen police arrived, their sirens cutting through the quiet neighborhood. Forensic experts and crime scene technicians followed, their faces stern as they surveyed the scene. The living room showed no signs of disturbance, no overturned furniture, no scattered belongings. The cup of tea on the coffee table yielded DNA matching Diana's, with no signs of a struggle or theft. The bedroom, however, told a different story. The bedside cabinet was ajar, its contents slightly disheveled, and Diana's phone lay on the bed, fully functional. The kitchen, the heart of the crime, was in disarray. The dining table was pushed askew, its sharp edge stained with blood that matched the wound on Diana's head. Footprints of varying sizes crisscrossed the floor, most notably smaller ones, sizes 36 to 38, suggesting a female perpetrator or a man with small feet. 2 glasses of orange juice sat on the counter, both laced with a sedative, zopiclone, confirmed by forensic tests. A suspicious plastic bag nearby contained traces of the same drug. The front door and windows showed no signs of forced entry, indicating Diana had willingly let her killer inside, someone she trusted. Richard reported that a significant amount of cash, left in the bedroom cabinet for an unspecified need Diana had mentioned before his trip, was missing. Other valuables, jewelry, electronics, remained untouched, ruling out a simple robbery. The home's 2 security cameras were useless, their footage removed, leaving no visual record of the crime. The presence of sedatives in the orange juice suggested premeditation, yet the missing cash and lack of stolen valuables pointed to a targeted motive, not a random act. The police classified the case as a homicide with deliberate intent, launching a multifaceted investigation into Diana's relationships, the physical evidence, and the missing cash. The forensic team transported Diana's body to the Shenzhen Forensic Institute for a detailed autopsy. Diana, aged 25 to 35, lay face up on the kitchen floor, her body bearing signs of minor trauma. Bruises on her arms and legs, likely from a scuffle, and abrasions on her shoulders and wrists. Her clothing was intact, with no signs of tearing or sexual assault. The fatal injury was a severe skull fracture at the back of her head, surrounded by significant internal bleeding caused by a forceful impact. The blood-stained table edge, sharp and unyielding, matched the wound's shape, suggesting Diana was pushed or fell, striking her head. Based on rigor mortis, body temperature, and early decomposition, the coroner estimated death occurred approximately 36 hours earlier, between 9 and 10 p.m. on August 21, 2010. The mechanism of death was severe brain hemorrhage due to the head trauma, likely triggered by an external force causing her to lose balance and fall. Toxicology tests revealed no traces of zopiclone in her blood or stomach, a puzzling contradiction given the drugged orange juice at the scene. This raised questions. Was the juice meant for Diana but never consumed, or was it intended for someone else? The minor bruises and abrasions suggested a brief struggle, but not a fierce one, indicating Diana resisted but was quickly overpowered. The lack of sedative in her system and the staged nature of the scene hinted at a complex motive, possibly involving multiple perpetrators. Richard Tran, Diana's husband, confirmed her identity. Married just a month earlier, they had moved into the house to start their new life together. Richard, a businessman, provided a detailed account of his whereabouts. On August 20th, he left for a business trip to Malaysia, maintaining contact with Diana via calls and texts. On the morning of August 21st, they spoke, and she seemed fine, her voice warm and untroubled. That evening, busy with a client meeting, he didn't call, assuming she needed rest. On August 22nd, he sent a brief text, too occupied with market visits to talk. Early on August 23rd, he boarded a flight back to China, arriving home to find Diana dead. His grief was palpable, his eyes red and voice breaking as he recounted their last moments. When asked about potential enemies, he insisted Diana had no conflicts, no recent arguments. His alibi was airtight. Flight records, hotel receipts, and client testimonies confirmed he was in Malaysia during the murder. Neighbors reported no unusual activity on August 21st, no screams or strange visitors, deepening the mystery of how the killer entered unnoticed. The police shifted focus to Diana's social circle, starting with her phone records. The last contact was a text exchange with her sister, Fiona Hugh, on the morning of August 21st, revealing a heated argument about money. Fiona, a struggling businesswoman, was drowning in debt. Her small retail shop failing as customers dwindled. The text suggested Fiona had asked Diana for a loan to save her business, but Diana, citing her own financial priorities, refused, sparking tension. The police summoned Fiona for questioning. She admitted to the argument, her voice sharp with resentment, calling Diana selfish and distant since marrying Richard, a successful entrepreneur. Fiona claimed the dispute was limited to texts and calls, denying any in-person meeting on August 21st. She said she spent the evening at her shop, living there after giving up her rented apartment to cut costs. Security footage from her shop confirmed her presence from 3:24 p.m. on August 21st through the next morning, with a brief absence at noon to run errands. Her fingerprints didn't match those at the crime scene, and her solid alibi forced the police to rule her out as a direct suspect, despite her financial motive. Digging deeper into Diana's phone, investigators found a suspicious number that frequently contacted her in recent weeks, unlisted in her contacts. Neither Richard nor Diana's family recognized it. Tracing it through the carrier, the police identified the number as belonging to Summer Lee, a woman Diana's age and her former high school best friend. Records showed Summer and Diana had a falling out years ago over money, severing contact until these recent calls. This rekindled connection raised red flags. The police summoned Summer for questioning, but she failed to appear, ignoring calls and messages. Suspecting she was evading them, they visited her apartment. Knocking yielded no response, and given the urgency, they forced entry. The apartment was empty, but signs of a hasty exit were evident. Drawers left open, a jacket discarded on the floor. A neighbor reported seeing a woman jump from the second-floor balcony and flee. The police pursued, catching Summer after a brief chase. Her breath ragged as they restrained her. In her backpack were clothes, a small amount of cash, and a train ticket to Kunming, signaling her intent to flee. At the station, Summer remained silent, her eyes darting nervously, refusing to cooperate. Forensic analysis confirmed her fingerprints matched one set at the crime scene, and her size 36 shoes aligned with the smaller footprints. With mounting evidence, Summer became the primary suspect. But her motive and the possibility of an accomplice remained unclear. Investigators probed Summer's background. Once from a well-off family, she faced financial ruin after her parents' business collapsed. Recently, she'd been borrowing heavily from friends, citing vague reasons, her middle-class circle unable to offer significant help. Her bank account showed a deposit matching half the cash stolen from Diana's home, raising questions about the other half. The missing camera footage, the drugged orange juice, and multiple footprints suggested a second perpetrator. Searching Summer's apartment, a sparsely furnished space reflecting her financial struggles, the police found no cash or valuables. But under a loose floor tile near her bed, they discovered a small, worn diary, its pages chronicling years of her life. The diary revealed a trio of high school friends, Summer Lee, Diana Hu, and Zoe Huang, once inseparable, their bond shattered by a long-ago betrayal. Summer wrote of her affluent childhood, when her parents' wealth afforded her luxuries like extra allowance. She saved for a mobile phone, a status symbol then, keeping the cash in her school bag. After school, she found the money gone, unable to pinpoint the thief. The next day, Diana appeared with new, expensive school supplies she'd previously deemed unaffordable. Convinced Diana stole her money, Summer confronted her, but Diana tearfully denied it, backed by Zoe, who accused Summer of paranoia. Feeling betrayed, Summer was ostracized, her friendship with both girls collapsing. The diary revealed deep resentment, a wound that festered over years, intensified by her recent financial desperation. Recognizing Zoe Huang as a key figure, the police traced her through school records, identifying her as a former classmate. Neighbors reported Zoe had vanished the previous day, abruptly vacating her apartment. Her sudden flight, coinciding with Summer's arrest, suggested involvement. Using ID data, the police learned Zoe had booked a high-speed train ticket from Shenzhen to Hong Kong, set to depart in 45 minutes. They alerted station security and border checkpoints, rushing to intercept her. At the station, amid a crowded waiting area, cameras spotted a woman in a loose jacket and cap, pulling a small suitcase, moving hurriedly toward the ticket gate. Identified as Zoe, she panicked as police approached, attempting to flee but was cornered in the bustling terminal. Her suitcase contained clothes, personal items, and cash, matching the remaining stolen amount, along with a burner phone likely used to contact Summer. Forensic analysis confirmed Zoe's fingerprints matched the second set at the crime scene, and her size 37 shoes aligned with the footprints. Under interrogation, Zoe broke, unlike Summer's silence, her voice trembling with regret. She admitted that on August 21st, she and Summer visited Diana's home, insisting the death was an unintended accident born of desperation, not a planned murder. Zoe recounted their shared past, confirming the diary's story. The high school money dispute drove a wedge between Summer and the group, with Zoe siding with Diana, believing Summer's accusations were baseless. After Summer cut ties, Zoe and Diana remained close until a year ago, when another betrayal fractured their bond. Zoe had secretly loved Richard Tran, a colleague from a different company in their shared office building. She confided in Diana, hoping for support, but Diana began dating Richard, aware of Zoe's feelings. Zoe believed Diana pursued him for his wealth and status, not love, fueling her resentment. Heartbroken, Zoe quit her job and moved away, nursing her anger. A month before the murder, learning of Diana and Richard's wedding, without an invitation, reignited her fury. Around this time, Zoe reconnected with Summer, both struggling financially. Summer had been scammed, borrowing from loan sharks to survive, while Zoe needed funds to settle a legal issue for her brother, who faced jail after a car accident. United by their shared resentment of Diana's seemingly perfect life, they devised a plan to extort her using compromising photos from Diana's past. During their friendship, Diana had shared risque images with Zoe, sent to an ex-boyfriend, which Zoe kept. They planned to threaten to send these to Richard unless Diana paid a significant sum. Summer initiated contact, calling Diana to claim she and Zoe had reconciled, hinting at the photos and demanding money for silence. They learned Richard would be away on business, leaving Diana vulnerable. Zoe, the planner, suggested a surprise visit on August 21st to catch Diana off guard. Diana opened the door, surprised but not hostile, inviting them inside. They sat in the living room, the conversation tense but civil. Diana offered drinks, retreating to the kitchen to prepare orange juice. Zoe, suspicious, followed quietly and caught Diana slipping Zopiclone into both glasses, likely intending to incapacitate them. Enraged, Zoe confronted her, shoving her hard. Summer joined and the argument escalated into a physical scuffle. Outnumbered, Diana fought back weakly. In the chaos, Zoe and Summer pushed her forcefully, causing her to stumble and strike her head on the table's sharp edge. She collapsed, unconscious but alive. Panicked, they didn't check her condition. Assuming she was subdued, they rushed upstairs, finding the cash Diana had prepared, possibly anticipating their demands. They took the security camera footage and fled, not realizing Diana's injury was fatal. When news of her death spread, their panic deepened, prompting separate escape plans. Zoe headed for Hong Kong, Summer for Kunming, but the police were faster. The trial in early 2011 gripped Shenzhen, the courtroom packed with reporters and Diana's grieving family. Her parents, weathered farmers, sat in silence, their faces etched with loss. Richard, hollowed by grief, testified to Diana's kindness and their shared dreams, cut short after a month of marriage. The defense argued Summer and Zoe acted out of desperation, not intent to kill, citing their financial struggles and past betrayals. The prosecution highlighted their premeditated extortion, illegal entry with criminal intent, and failure to aid Diana, which led to her death. Charges included extortion, unlawful entry, intentional injury causing death, and evidence tampering. Zoe, as the planner, received 14 years in prison. Summer got 12 years. Both could apply for parole after serving 2/3 of their sentences, contingent on good behavior. The trial exposed a tragic web of broken friendships fueled by resentment and desperation, showing how past wounds and financial pressure can spiral into catastrophe. The case shocked Shenzhen, highlighting the destructive power of unresolved grudges and societal pressures around wealth and status. Diana's family established a charity in her name, supporting young women in education, a tribute to her unrealized dreams. Universities and communities began emphasizing conflict resolution and mental health support, recognizing how unchecked emotions can lead to tragedy. Summer and Zoe weren't cold-blooded killers. Their actions stemmed from pain and desperation. But their failure to seek forgiveness or accountability led to irreversible consequences. Had they let go of their hatred, had they chosen dialogue over deception, Diana might still be alive. This case reminds us that no one is wholly good or evil. Our choices shape our paths, and a single misstep can lead to a devastating end. What are your thoughts on this tragedy? How can we heal old wounds before they turn deadly? Share your comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Behind the Crime for more stories that uncover the raw truths of human nature.